We admire the people who walk by themselves, but we don't want to be like them because it's hard. It takes a lot of courage. It's very painful, and no one wants to do that.
Getting obsessed is what sets you apart from everyone else, because conviction is a superpower. Yeah. And if you have somebody who is less afraid of death than the other guy, the guy who's got less to lose, he actually wins most of the time.
You know what the biggest risk is? Is not taking the risk. That's the biggest risk ever. All of our success that comes is because we took the risk that was necessary in order to have a chance to get out.
Stop being lazy. Don't just think you're going to be a millionaire. Dude, it takes fucking work, and it's going to be hard, and people are going to say some horrible shit to you.
A great analogy to this is that if you want to be successful, think of yourself as that person 30 years ahead. Like, how would he act? Would he take care of his family? Would he have the dream woman by his side? Am I doing everything that I need to be able to be that person in 30 years? If the answer is no, you need to change.
All we're trying to offer you here is a different perspective on the life that maybe you could have. That's all. That's our only intent. Welcome back. Today, I'm very excited because we're going to have a very interesting conversation about business, politics, religion, and everything that exists out there. To my right, I have my good friend, Michael. He is actually a helicopter pilot, and he has a criminology degree. And on top of that, he's also a multimillionaire. But the most and coolest part that personally, from my experience, is that he has trained special forces globally and is the person that, that I personally look up to. He's actually a mentor of mine. To my left, I have my brother, Mo, who is a multi-millionaire. At just being 20 years old, rose from a third world country. And today we're going to talk a lot about business, politics, religion. There is no conversation that is not going to be on the table. And we're going to bring you guys a tremendous amount of value. So with that being said, let's get right into it.
So one of the things that I think is really important for people to understand, and I had to learn this, is that when you're in that state today, you feel like right now is real. And it's not. Today is a reflection of yesterday's and last week's behaviors, decisions, beliefs. It's not real. What you plant grows into the future, but your power of today is realizing that if you start behaving, believing, and having a identity today as though you're already starting from the end. Not that you're headed towards the trajectory of the end, but that you already are embodying that right now, then what you will see on the outside will become what's on the inside. And that's really what people see both in business. I was talking to a gentleman today, and he said, my life is this and that. And he was telling me all this stuff about his world. And I was like, that's because that's what's on the inside of you. Everything that's on the inside manifests itself on the outside.
100%. Your thoughts, actions, everything like that, 100%. Especially what you just said. I think that's very, very key, because if you look at business, I truly believe that we're getting paid today for the work that we did 2-3 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's not from our actions today. Like, we're not that good.
And to go on a different tangent, it's also the music you listen to. It's also like the people that you surround yourself with, the videos that you watch. That's what's happening in your own life. If you're listening to rap and you get shot up.
Well, and some rap doesn't promote that, right? Because, I got a black Cuban guy here at the table, so let's not shit on rap, right? But I do think cerebral hygiene is really important, and I think we forget that, both what we read, what we take in. Cerebral hygiene.
Man, that's the way of thinking, guys. Yeah. Like, one of the themes that you'll see on this table, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that's really important. Just hear the level of thinking that we have and some of the pieces that we hone into. Cerebral hygiene. I've never heard of that before in my life, but it makes complete sense, right? So these are some of the things that successful people kind of understand and really elaborate on.
This is all to protect their peace.
Well, and that's why I think relationships are so important, right? Because we forget this, that and you'll see this in business, especially with men, if their home is a mess, it reflects in their business. They're like, my whole life is great except for my home life. Then your whole life isn't great, because that is the biggest part of peace that you have to protect. And it's so important to measure, monitor, and modify every aspect of your life, the 4 areas of life, right? Your connectedness with the creator, your consciousness of how you interact with other people and the relationships around you, the conditioning of both your body and your mind, and then currency. And people think currency is just money, but currency is energy, health, fiat currency is part of it, obviously.
Social
how much
currency,
you make, social currency, attention, what you give your focus. Yeah. And if we sit down and we blow that picture out and we go, where am I struggling? There's something inside of us that's manifesting itself on the outside. Like when I was homeless, it was because I was fucked up inside, right? Like it wasn't because it wasn't a money problem. It was a Michael problem.
Yeah.
And when I learned that, I was able to go, oh, So I can change this right now and experience something new today. I'm still going to have the drag of the past, right? Like when you think about flying and like flying a helicopter, like you move through something, you still have drag. There's things creating drag, but you need drag in order to create lift. So having those past memories and those past experiences, it's really important not to like hate them, but use them.
Use them, yeah, to your advantage.
And to change your story. And I'll tell you guys, like another thing, like being out here, I love being around these guys because the vibe and the way they think. Today they were doing something where, without going into a whole lot of detail, but they had a specific problem that they had to solve. And Mo was like, here's how we're going to do it. And he fucking like worked an entire circle around where I was just like, dude, I'm pretty creative, and I wouldn't have thought of that. And I think that proximity is power. When you start hanging out with other people that resonate at that frequency, you shift. And as such, and I learned this a long time ago, I started paying to go to seminars that I couldn't afford, by the way. And I just figured out a way to do it just so I could be around the people there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the creative part is very, very key, right? Thinking outside of the box. And I think that's something that all of us do really, really well. I've seen Michael think of things and I'm like, wow, that's insane. But if we ask why, like, again, I don't believe that what we have or what we do is anything that any one of you guys can do it. But it's because of, for example, Michael was homeless at a point. We were stuck in a third world country. We had no choice but to be creative. We had nothing else, right? We didn't have the money. Like no one cared about us. Like we had to pull this off.
I think that's the superpower though. And I think that's what a lot of people lose is they're like, and they say, and a guy told me this to me today, and I just put him in a corner on it because it's the stupidest shit that I've ever heard. He's like, I need to make sure that I got everything right before I make this step to get things right. And I was like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
It's never going to be
dude,
right.
That's like trying to go and work out before you go to the gym. He's like, I want to get in shape before I go to the gym. The whole reason that you step into a world that is diverse, the whole reason that you step into a new program is because you're not there yet.
Yeah. There's a really good book on that. Ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire it, and then aim. Like, oh, where are we going to go? And you're absolutely right, Michael. We also have so many people that we talk to every single day that are like, I actually had one guy today. The guy that I talked to.
Let me get my ducks in the row.
Let me get my ducks in a row.
What does that mean?
It's never going to.
And how long have you been trying that? Right. And that's the problem. They don't understand. They're like, I need to get things together. It's like, dude, this is why your shit sucks. This is why you're not there yet, because you keep trying to do it on your own and it's clearly not working. How long have you been doing that? And I think one thing that you get from people that really care about your success is they'll call you on your garbage and your excuses. And I did that with this guy today. I said, dude, you've been telling me that you've been putting this together for how long? Is it working? He's like, no. I said, then it's an excuse. Yeah. And you're not really there. So the only thing that you can do, like the byproduct of faith is manifestation. But you have to see the proof inside in order for it to manifest on the outside. And people oftentimes reverse it. They wait. They're like, when I see it on the outside, I'll believe it on the inside. And that's not how things work. Until you see it on the inside, you're not going to see it on the outside.
You got to believe in the unseen.
A great analogy to this is that if you want to be successful, think of yourself as that person 30 years ahead. Like, how would he act? Would he move forward? Would he go out? Would he be in the gym? Would he take care of his family? Would he have the dream woman by his side? If he did, then you have to start acting that way, because you have to ask yourself, am I doing everything that I need to be able to be that person in 30 years? If the answer is no, you need to change.
And one step further to what he's saying, how would that person talk? How would that person shake someone's hand? How would that person walk? How would they carry themselves?
Resonate at?
What would they think? What are the thoughts that are going into their brains? What are they allowing the people that are around them? These are the things, guys. Like, it's the small hinges that swing the big doors.
And you have to be obsessed. You just have to be obsessed.
There's no way out.
When people talk about balance,
let's talk about balance.
I don't want to talk about balance. That doesn't, like, I think addiction is a superpower channeled correctly.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, if you sit down and you're obsessed with something and you put it in the right context, you'll do really well. When I was doing the underground fights and studying stick fighting, all I thought about was stick fighting. I hit everybody all the time with sticks. Like if I was at a restaurant, I was like, like it was just like every fucking thing I could hit, I did because I was obsessed with it. When I got into business, I ended up in the hospital my first year in business because I would get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, get up and work for 20 something hours, go to bed for an hour, get up and do it again. And I'm not encouraging guys to do that. Extremely unhealthy, but like getting obsessed is what sets you apart from everyone else because conviction is a superpower. Yeah. And if you have somebody who is less afraid of death than the other guy, the guy who's got less to lose, he actually wins most of the time.
Nothing. It's kind of like the mindset you want to have is all to gain and nothing to lose.
Well, you take on the mind of the samurai. They used to enter into battle as though they were already dead.
Yeah.
So how do you kill a guy that already considers himself dead? This is why I think Christianity has a power to it because in our faith, when we sit down and think about it, we're like, we already died and already resurrected. You can't kill me. You can just kill my body. Business is the same way, right? Like, what are you going to do? And I think this is why people fail because they get comfortable and they try and hold on to it.
And that's the thing, right? It's like, I literally posted this yesterday on my Instagram story where it's kind of like I'm reminding myself, it's always just like he said, I'm already dead. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing. Like we're gonna make it out, Yeah. And the moment we get comfortable with whatever we have is the moment that I believe is a downfall. There's no such thing that I realize on this universe is constant. It never is. It's either up or down, and the choice is yours.
And a great perspective to this, even in Islam, we talk about this, but like when you die, you're not taking your money. You're not taking everything else. So it's like life is pretty simple. You just have to go out and get it, and you just you have nothing to lose. You're just out there to gain the most that you possibly can, because in the end, we're just going to be all ashes. That's all we are.
What's funny about that is that, like, in our faith, we have the same belief, and it's interesting. Like, I love the fact that we have like 2 Muslims and a Christian sitting on a panel, like talking about like this is actually how it should be, right? Is like
without like 2 Christians, say, oh no, you suck. No, absolutely not. We respect each other's religion. So actually, we've been having.
It's called being an adult, right? Like I think at some level we had a really deep conversation. This is also cool. Like we're going from business into faith-based stuff now, but like we had a conversation at dinner the other day. And people always say, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, and why is that? Because a lot of people don't have the emotional fortitude or stability to be able to have uncomfortable encounters without getting highly emotional. Maybe that's what you should be working on. Right? Is your ability to get uncomfortable and still be comfortable. Like our conversation was uncomfortable for all of us.
Yeah. All of us were like, oh.
But I'll tell you what it also did. It also tested all of our faith.
Absolutely.
Because there were parts of it where they asked me questions where I was like, all right, well, here's how I'd answer that because I've done a lot of research on it. But there are also areas where I felt like I was challenged. And if I'm challenged, I can't hide from challenge in order to be feeling confident, right? It's like, and I told you this walking down the stairs, it's like a fighter who's like, I'm really good at fighting, but I've never been in a fight.
Well, I know all the theory. I've watched all the videos, but
like I don't want to learn how to swim from a dude that played in the tub with a rubber ducky. I want to learn how to swim from somebody who has swam in the ocean,
or be a soldier from someone who knows how to play Call of Duty.
Right. Even in our example nowadays, a professor that's never launched a business and he's teaching you about business.
That's a great point,
and that's a wonderful point because all the shit he's teaching you is behind schedule.
Yeah,
because they're trying to study people that are already doing it now.
It's not even a year behind. It's like 15, 20 years behind, and it's like we live in this digital age that is moving so quick. Where I truly believe 1 year is like 5 years worth of.
It's insane.
Yeah, let me shed another example on this. Like I'm a high school dropout. I'm 20 years old right now. When I was 16, literally sitting in my computer class, like business class, was like a tech type of class. This guy's teaching me how to use a keyboard. And I've been doing marketing since I was 11, right? So it's like, I'm sitting there like, is this for me? Should I even keep doing this? Which I didn't, but.
Again, I think failure is a superpower in some aspects. So many people measure success in such a weird barometer. I was talking to a guy today.
I don't think you can fail though. Like, I think maybe that word and that verbiage maybe it's just, there's a different perspective.
I think you can. I think failure is when you give up.
Yeah. Well, I don't think people give up though. Okay. So there's
a difference between resigning and giving up. Right?
I feel like everyone does get back up all the time. But here's the difference between us versus most people. The time that it takes. Most people, it may take them 10, 15, 20, 30 years. and some people may get up on their deathbed where they're like, oh, I should have, like, now they're the
Yeah.
person, but like, what
Well,
are you
they're
gonna
not
do? You're,
getting
you're
up
dead,
then.
you're done, right? But like their mindset shifted, but it took them 65 years of their life
Yeah.
versus people like us. And I'm sure there's people maybe on a bigger level
Yeah.
that are like that level of like, I gave up. And then a minute later they're back. And maybe there's people out there 2 seconds later, they're back.
It's the fight.
You know? Exactly.
You know, you don't learn how to swim so you don't get wet. You learn how to swim so you don't drown.
Mm.
And a lot of people, they don't understand this. It's the same in business, the same in fighting. People go, so you never get touched in a fight? Dude, like, yeah, you do. But I don't learn how to train so I never get touched. It's so I don't die. And I think that business is the same
Mo
way.
has a cut on his mouth from the sparring that we've been doing.
I'm not sure that was necessary, but whatever. Yeah. I'm sorry again. It's really the camera guy's fault. He brought a fucked up helmet, right? And I didn't know I was going to cut your face. So, but there's a level of like, you know, and one of the things I learned from these guys this week that I don't want to say learned, but I was reminded of because I've watched them do it. They are relentless, right? Like they just keep going. It's like they're hard, trying to push something through. Doesn't work. They're like, next, hard. And I was like, dude, I remember this because I used to push. And this is why I think proximity is power, because sometimes at home, men don't have that support that they need.
You have to find your tribe.
You got to find your tribe.
Brotherhood is everything.
Everything.
Let's talk a little bit about that. And you know what? The people watching this, there was actually an instance on this table that literally happened without us uttering a word, and it was all about brotherhood. So let's see who caught this. It was my brother, right? Now, so I have this water in front of me. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, there's a mosquito. Amazing. Actually, the windows are open. Maybe we should close them. But I think that's why I'm getting bit up as well. But basically, the point was, he saw that. No communication. He gave me his water. Most people watching this, brothers fight each other. They have this like weird level of like, what is it called? Unhealthy
Animosity.
competition. We're very competitive. We were just at the gym like right before this podcast.
And we were like, who can bench
Who can bench the most? And we also squatted too. So we're like, who's gonna say? I'm like, the cameraman is calling us. We gotta go, right?
Yeah.
But that's a healthy level of competition. But here in this case, he's ready to give me his water. No problem, right? And the same goes for Michael. We will like literally take bullets for each other.
Absolutely.
No questions asked. We don't ask questions. We just do it.
I think that's hard for people to understand, and it's important to lean into this because a lot of people go, yeah, you're saying that, but would you really? And I think that where that kicks into play and people don't understand, and this is why I believe that rite of passage is such an important thing in our society. And we talked about this, right? The other day, Mo got nailed in the face by somebody and in his face,
By
and he
somebody.
started
Quote,
bleeding,
unquote.
right? But what was so interesting about it is we were walking that night and we were going to have cigars. The first thing Mo does is he's like, hey, do you think this will get infected if I have a cigar? And I was like, I don't think so. I think you're fine. It's just bruised. And he looks at his brother and he says, you know, dude, I think we need to hit each other more because it's been so long since we've done this that I forgot what it felt like. And I think that that's why rite of passage and fighting for men is such an important thing. We forget about that. We get so comfortable and we talk about the sophistication of our society when we have guys that don't even know that they're fucking men. They're like, I don't know if I'm a donkey or a cat. And you're like, dude, you need to get punched in the face more because that line of confusion comes from not being able to deal with pain. When we learn how to pick our pain, everything else is easier. I remember when I was doing the underground fights, it was the time in my life, honestly, that I was the calmest because I knew that I was fighting on a regular basis. Like people could sit there and yell and scream at me in my face and it'd have zero effect on me because I was like, dude, I just don't care. I literally just beat a dude with a stick. Right. And it changes the parameters. I think for us also as men, and you might remember this when you were kids, like when you get hit as a kid, there's something under the right context, right? I mean, there's abuse and there's discipline. Yeah. We got abused, but you know, whatever, I'd still pick that over not getting hit at all because it taught me compartmentalization of pain. It showed me that I can survive past somebody bigger hitting me. And there was a part of it that like every time the pain subsided, you're like,
It's not so bad.
It's not so bad.
And you get stronger a little bit and a little bit. And then there was a point where you're just like getting hit. You're just like smiling, like, oh, that's all you got?
Yeah.
I
Right,
never
don't know.
once said that. My mom's Cuban, and if I gave her that look, she would have fucking stabbed us. So, like, there was a lot of craziness that went on in that scenario. But the point remains the same, that I think when we don't expose ourselves to pain, we actually get weakened
weaker.
by comfort.
Yeah.
100%.
And I notice just for myself, if I move every single day, in the afternoon, at night before I go to bed, stretch, and then get up in the morning and start with movement, I actually feel more energized. My body feels better. And I was thinking about this morning. What are the things that I do every single morning? The first is I breathe. I do my breathing exercises. So if you guys hear me in the other room, that's what's going on. I'm doing my Wim Hof breathing exercises. And then I actually do a whole thing where I'll lay in bed for a minute and I will start manifesting for a couple of minutes, just like the life that I live as I already am that being.
Yeah.
And I experience it through the 4 V's: the vision, the voice, the visceral, and the vibration. Then I get up and I start doing movement, right? So I start moving my body. And I think if we think of this in the right way, if we think of mission, if we think of mindset, if we think of manifestation, if we think of movement, if you started your morning with that every single morning, your day would be different.
Absolutely. Most people wake up, check their phone right away. And what's on the phone? Well, let's talk about this. This is a good marketing lesson, right? We're some of the best marketers in the world in our space. So if you look at it, right, the attention is the new oil. Attention is the new currency. How do you captivate attention? Well, it's through capturing, like, it's through showcasing you things that are going to spike different
Your dopamine.
your different literally chemicals in your brain. And one of the best forms of strategy is, and you can search this up right now, you may have a different perspective for life. Go search up the news channel, CNN, Fox, any one of these. I don't care which one it is, any one of these. You will almost never see anything positive. Almost never.
Yeah.
Well, because if it bleeds, it leads.
If it bleeds, it leads. Absolutely. So it's like we're waking up with a newspaper with all of, like, there's all this negativity. We're waking up watching CNN. We're waking up on Instagram. Someone's like getting beat up or whatever the case is. It's all negative stuff. So you are literally like you have no filter of your mind, right? You're just unloading in garbage in. What are the outputs going to be? Garbage. That's just what it is. And then now you're like thinking to yourself, like, why my life sucks? And you forgot that over the last like 5, 6, 7 years. You've been doing this to yourself and you don't even know it.
Well, you're brainwashing yourself. Your cerebral hygiene is a subconscious reactionary trigger. So that dopamine hit is based off stimuli. If you think of Pavlovian operant in classical conditioning, right? He rings the bell, dog salivates, right? But originally it was, are you guys familiar with operant in classical conditioning?
Not really.
So Pavlov was a guy that was creating a scientific experience. Well, it was an experience for the dogs. Scientific experiment. Yeah. And what he did is he'd bring the dogs in, he'd bring food, and he had these devices in the dog's mouth where he'd measure the salivation of the dog. So he'd bring food over, the dog would smell it, and he'd ring a bell. And he'd bring the food over, ring a bell. Bring the food over, ring a bell. Then he gets to the point where he just rings the bell, and the dog associates it to the food. So the salivation will come out. So what we have is stimuli, which is the bell ringing, to a conditioned response.
Yeah.
What is so important about this, and this is what's made our combatives so effective, and this is why I love it when martial arts go, you can't do that. It's impossible. No, it's impossible for you because you have no fucking clue how to do what you're supposed to do. You think that should take 8 years. And I want to address that real quick. And this is my biggest qualm with the martial arts, is they go, it should take you 9 years to get good. Oh, great. I'm just going to give everybody an e-check to come back later when they want to rob me after I learn that shit. Like, that's, if you look at asymmetrical warfare from guerrilla warfare, they teach you very efficiently, very effectively, and they do it quickly. So what is a theoretical minimum that you need to know in order to be effective in business, combat, relationships, etc.? Right? So when we look at this and we talk about stimuli to conditioned response, we need to start with the end in mind. What is the end in mind? Because if I think every day, I'm going to have to get on the phone and talking to strangers, they're going to yell at me, you're conditioning yourself.
Yeah.
The behavior has to be the envisioning of the payment, right? Like, you got paid. Yes. You start the call with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You start the call with
You know
that.
what you can do? So I used to do this back when I was like, back when we were like really first starting off, is anytime I would have even a small success, I got this little I don't know what it's called. It's like
It's like it's like this you sniff it.
it's like Vicks.
It's a, no, it's not Vicks. It's like a little thing that you put in your nose, and then like it's like it smells like a flower, basically.
Or it can have different smells, but what it does is just
It's not what you think it is, Michael. He's getting excited.
It's getting excited. It opens up your.
I'm like, the audience is going to be like, so there's the
It's
stuff
called
and
a
you
boom.
sniff it.
It's called
a
boom.
boom. That's what it is. You can
Yeah.
search it up on Amazon, and it's really cool because what you do is anytime you have a positive experience or anytime you're in a positive,
You're
like
creating an associative
you're
linkage.
creating an association. Exactly. So you just sniff it, and it's not drugs or anything, right? It just really like just clears your nasal cavity. And what you do is you do that a few times, and then now if you're ever in a downwards thing, or if you have like a big presentation, or you have to like get yourself out of like a kind of like a mental clog, you smell that, you're good to go. It's the same exact example as you gave about the dog salivating because of the bell, because they were trained and conditioned.
I would encourage you guys to do it with a movement on your body, though. The problem with having something you got to sniff. Now, scent is one of the most powerful anchors, and that's probably why that's a thing, right? But what's important is sometimes you can't, but you can always do a move. So I think what's important for people to understand is that like when you start creating associative linkages, you can make them positive or negative. And what's important is the more you can lean into that, you can actually start to manifest your internal world to the outside. And that's where you start building a business. That's where you start building a family. That's where you start building a framework of life. So when you talk to people and they're like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out my mission and I'm unhappy in life. It's not that you're unhappy in life. You're not unhappy out here. You're unhappy in here.
Exactly.
And you got to start in here and then build frameworks on the outside that reinforce it.
And the habits you're talking about, actually what's interesting is the brain doesn't know the difference between a negative or a positive experience. It's the same to it. So like this glass right here, some people may think it's half empty or half full, and you're both right? So it's a matter of why don't we give ourselves the biggest edge that we possibly can in order to be successful and think of things from a positive perspective versus feeling bad, feeling down because we just choose to view it from a negative, perspective and experience. There's always, that negative Nancy thing, right?
Yeah.
It's so true. There's people who only think of what can go wrong. Like, and I'm all for
and they'll manifest it.
Absolutely. I'm all for being smart and being, like understanding your surroundings and all that. But why would I choose to view this cup with half water as it's half empty? I will never do that.
I think the biggest thing about just mental beliefs and your mindset and having a good mindset is just about how you perceive things. You could see something as something really, really horrible, or you could see it as something that's good.
And they both exist.
Exactly. And you're just feeding it back into your own brain. So like me personally, I'm taking everything that's positive out of everything, the most that I can. But every day it's a challenge.
Everyone's deluding themselves. Everyone is, always. Yeah. Whether you choose to negatively delude yourself or positively, that's your choice, right? We're always bullshitting to ourselves. We're always doing these things. And that's just part of, I guess, who we are as human beings.
Ironically, it's sales.
It's sales. Yeah, you're selling yourself. I think that's actually a very good point. You can never be successful in life if you don't sell yourself into the beliefs that we're talking about here, right? The associations that you need, the small little hinges that sound pretty stupid, but if you think a little bit deep, it's everything. It's your mental faculty. It needs to be like, you need to stand guard at it, right? Most people are just, again, stimulus is, they have people who are not good people around them. And they're like, no wonder why my life sucks.
Look, there's science behind this, right? There's something called a reticular activating system.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
And so when you sit down and you start looking at this construct of when you go to buy a car, what happens?
The red
you start
car,
seeing that car everywhere.
The same red car everywhere.
Here's why. When you start to associate your identity to an object, the mind will go to work to prove that you are true, that it is right. So when I say the cup is half empty or the cup is half full, you're identifying with your version of the truth, and the brain will start working to make it real.
Yeah.
When you sit down and you start thinking about the power of what you have to manifest, you're made in the image of God. You create things without realizing you're creating things. So when people go, oh, I got to go get my ducks together before I come back. You're like, dude, your ducks are all fucked because you have been doing this forever and
for your whole life,
and you keep creating the same scenarios. When good opportunities are in front of you, what do? You go think about it. You go ask your wife. You go see if you have enough money. You go, the way you're there is why you are stuck there.
100%. People think that, it's a risk. You know what the biggest risk is? Is not taking the risk. Yeah. That's the biggest risk ever. All of our success that comes is because we took the risk that was necessary in order to have a chance to get out. And here's another thing. People want profit. They want to make money online. They want to have their own digital marketing agencies or whatever business.
But they want to do it without a risk.
They want to do it without a risk. And here's the biggest thing. It's kind of like this. You're trying to challenge gravity. If you're like, oh, I want to jump up and I just want to keep going and going and going. No, you're going to come back down, right? There's an equal and opposite force.
Yeah.
So if you want profit, you have to take risk.
I think that to speak to that also, it's really important is this is why hitting rock bottom is so helpful. Because you're like, even if it kills me, I'm going to give it my best shot. If you started everything with that attitude and then you maintain that attitude.
And you kept going, even if you got the riches, even if you got the family, you just keep still going with that energy and that mindset, you'll crush.
You'll crush, because what people don't understand is that there isn't like failing. It's just like people go like death is the worst thing that could happen. It's actually not.
No.
It's living a life of shame.
Yeah.
You'll want to kill yourself.
And on your deathbed, you're like, I wish I had all these hopes and all these dreams that I just didn't do. And you know, I want you to think of that for a second, right? Because we all live in this world, you know. Most of us are probably like capable of, like, we're not living in a thing where there's something wrong with our brain, or there's something like majorly wrong with us. If you're watching this, right, there's probably a reason for that. So if you are perfectly fine, you forget about death and you're not reminded by it. But in our belief, actually, we are taught to think of death every single day so we can truly live to our fullest potential, because that should scare you guys, right? It's like, on your deathbed, would you be happy, right? If, for example, God forbid, you are on your deathbed, would you be happy with the life that you have? Probably not, right? I don't think anyone can say that. So if you're aware of that part, every day you wake up, you're like, oh man, I'm already like,
yeah, how can I get better? How can I get to the point where, you know, maybe I am on my deathbed, but I'm like, okay,
I've given the value.
They're not giving everything. So like in our faith, if you look at it, Christ, most of his ministry was done in the last 3 years of his life. We're still talking about him 2025 years later. Have the last 3 years of your life been worth talking about for the next 2025, right? Like, what are you doing every single day? I think a lot of people push that stuff out there. Like, I'll get it later.
Exactly.
The problem is you may not have later. So if you live today, and I teach this to my students, I'm like, the best version of you. So you have 3 different levels of you: the lowest version, a mid version, and the highest version. If you just functioned at the mid to low, what's going to happen? It's called mediocrity. And you become a byproduct of that, which to me is death, right? Like now you're resonating that frequency and you're comfortable. You ask people and they give you answers. They're like, man, how you doing? Oh, you know. No, I don't fucking know. How are you doing? That's what I asked, right? Or they say something like, oh, same shit, different day. Then fucking change it.
Change it.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you resonate at high frequency and somebody asks you how you're doing, you're like, dude, I'm outstanding.
Every day's a movie.
Every day's
moving. Yeah. Every day's changing.
Absolutely.
Life is a treadmill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you stand on it and don't move, you go backwards.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's talk about that mediocrity point that you just brought up. In my opinion, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. I would rather either A, be all the way at the bottom, or B, be all the way at the top, of course. I mean, that you know, that's kind of like what we all want. But if I was to choose, I would not be in the middle. The reason for that is because in my, like, what I think is that that's death. But you're not buried yet, right? You're
walking dead.
You're walking dead.
Yeah,
you have an income that's like maybe 7K a month, 10K a month, 12K a month. In my opinion, that is the worst. I would rather take $1,000 a month than take a $7,000 to $10,000 a month. The reason for that is because you become comfortable, right? All your bills are paid, but
those are the hardest people to teach.
Those are the hardest people to teach, absolutely. And those, because you don't really have that pain.
And he's not saying don't be grateful. He's saying definitely be grateful, but just don't be satisfied with where you're at.
And be hyper aware of where you are. Because a lot of the people watching this right now, right? We work with clients all the time. They're doing about 5K, 10K a month in their like regular day jobs. They may not necessarily have that pain that they need. And I would challenge you to say, no, bring the pain, because sometimes it's a fantastic motivator. And you know, unfortunately, society teaches us, oh, pain, don't touch it. It's a good thing. When you go to the gym, it's a little painful, isn't it? But then you become a better person the next day and the next day after that.
But if you use the correct stimuli conditioning, it's no longer pain.
It's growth.
It's growth.
Yeah.
It's a stimulant. It's something that helps you move forward. See, when we first get in cold water, you freeze up, you know, no pun intended, but like you hold your breath and then you get to a point where you can actually turn it off. Think of what pain is. It's an indicator to let the body know that something's wrong.
Yeah. Chemicals.
It's chemicals. So if I learn how to turn that off, and they have done studies of this where people can actually get surgeries done on them without any painkillers because they have learned how to turn off those receptors.
Wow.
So when at the point that I'm at now with cold water is I can get in it. It's almost weird. Like I notice it's there, but I don't feel it the same way anymore. So when we learned this in the underground fights, if you hit a guy and he shows that it hurts, guess where we're going to hit you again?
Right back at that
spot.
same
And again,
spot. Yeah.
and again, and again until you break. So one of the things you do is you don't show it. You compartmentalize it, you put it somewhere else. You have the rest of your life to deal with it.
Yeah.
And if you think of that, like you get hit, where does it hurt the most? Right then.
Yeah.
If you put it somewhere else and deal with it later, it doesn't even hurt later when you deal with it. There's a big difference between pain and injury. But most people give up from pain. They don't like injury is different. Like injury means shit's broken, right? Like you can't use it. No matter, you're like, I don't feel that. You're like, that's cool. It still doesn't work. But you have to learn how to actually turn off pain and then you reassociate what you call pain. See, to me, working isn't painful. Being broke and not being able to feed myself and not being able to live the life I want, that's pain. That's pain that I don't want to deal with. Sitting down and like, it was so funny because Zarar and I were talking. He's like, dude, come to Colombia. And it wasn't like wow, I got to think about that. I bought the ticket while texting him.
100%.
It was like it's a different lifestyle from when I used to be homeless. He's like, come to Colombia. I'm like, cool, dude. When? And he said, come at this time. And I was like, cool, I just bought the ticket. I didn't think about it.
And I wasn't even surprised. Why? I know who he is. I know my friends. Right.
Yeah.
And like, if he tells me like, actually, we did this, like this was about a year and a half ago. We were like, should we go to Dubai? And then he said something, I said something. We were both like, I don't know. We were like, wait. We're thinking from a perspective of back when we were broke. Forget all that. We can't decide. Let's let the coin decide. Whatever the coin says. The coin said go. We said done. Right then and there we got the
flipped the coin.
Who can do all that? People
but they're not telling you to not be a good steward, guys. What they're telling you is that like build yourself up to getting there. They're not saying just be a fucking idiot and go like, I'm going to buy 10 Ferraris, right? Like it's like there's something that happens when you start to get to a point where you're like, it doesn't matter where I am, I'll make it happen.
Exactly right.
Because you stop believing in external variance that like, oh, in order to be successful, I have to sit in Scottsdale. It's fucking hot.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there right now. So I came out here and every time I go somewhere, I make more money the first 2 weeks I'm there than I would had I stayed somewhere else. Why? Because the power is in me. It's not outside of me. God gave it to us to create. I think that's people's biggest fear. I think that's why people don't buy. And I'm sure I deal with the same thing in my industry that you guys deal with yours, where the people go, I don't know. What if it doesn't work? This shit works. We're doing it.
Yeah.
What you're really
what if
saying,
it doesn't? And here's the thing. What if it doesn't?
Yeah. And let's talk about guarantees. There's only one guarantee that if you don't do it,
it won't work.
Yeah, it won't work. So like, I'd rather take the bet on it actually maybe working than it not working at all.
Which is taking a risk on yourself.
Exactly.
And this is what people don't do.
And no one
They're
wants
not
to do
taking a
that.
risk in you. They're actually, they lack confidence in themselves. And that's fair because they've never done it
They've never
before.
done it, and that's okay.
But that's why you align yourself with people who have. Now, the problem is, and we've seen this in our industries, is there's so many fraudulent people out there.
They've been burned in the
They've been
past,
burned,
yeah.
and I get it. But look, the results speak to the proof, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you don't believe in yourself, and I told this to a guy today, he's like, I just don't know if I can make it work. I was like, I believe in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like a relationship, right? Like we've all been through bad relationships. You know, everyone watching this probably. You can't just give up on it, right? Like
And you can't bring that to your next venture.
yeah,
It's the
you
worst
shouldn't
thing
bring
that
that
you
to the next partner, or in this case, like you said, you shouldn't bring that to your next venture because that's not fair to the other party. Like we get dozens and dozens of people wanting to like, you know, talk about what we have to offer, right? Like our programs and like our franchise-like system. And 90% of the time they bring their, but before in the past this happened. And we're like, we're not those people. Like we're not coaches or
The real question is,
coaches
what
or
did you learn?
gurus or anything.
Yeah.
What did you learn? Like, I'm not going to go into a relationship with somebody and they do a whole bunch of shit I don't like, and I'm not going to notice those red flags in the next relationship, right? But the difference is that they're saying they're afraid that they won't have the strength
Mhm.
to make the right decision to move out of it, right? Like if you had to move out of that relationship and it sucked, there was still good in that relationship. I'm grateful for every relationship that I had because I learned something from it. And I can't sit there and go, oh, they're all fucking, like I picked them.
Yeah.
So-
Self-accountability.
So I have to make the decision to go, well, dude, stop fucking picking that girl.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you see her, like don't be like, This will be different. No, it's fucking not. It's going to be the same thing. You're still going to get stepped on. There's going to be an issue. So stop picking that. So you have to have enough faith in yourself to go, you know what? I know what the red flags are. And I'm just going to bring them to you in the beginning of our interview and go like, hey man, so I've dealt with this in the past. I'm a little concerned of dealing with it again. I think that's fair to bring that up and be like, how do I know that I'm not going to deal with that from you? And if you're dealing with somebody with credibility, they're going to say, okay, well, fair enough. Good question. Here's how you won't deal with that with me.
They will give you the reassurance that you need. And it's a very healthy way to do it versus trying to hold it in or trying to just like vomit onto the next person. That's not very fair to that person, is it? Right. And then again, you are only going to attract the people that you're like, right? If you're going to vomit on them, do you think you're going to have quality people coming into your life? Do you think you're going to be able to work with quality business partners and a team or people?
Ask yourself why you keep attracting that.
Yeah,
right. Because you attract, you attract, like there's things in me that I needed to work on, that I needed to pick certain relationships so I could work on those things in myself. And I believe, honestly, that's why I did it. So those people were not bad. They were exactly what I needed.
They were mirrors.
Yeah.
They were mirrors helping me work on the shit that I didn't want to face, that I had to overcome. And I don't fault. I'm at a point in my life now where like, I look at the relationships and like, you know, like it's not that I would be like, oh, that person was totally justified. But I don't see them as bad. I see them as useful. Like they were there to help serve me to get to the next level.
Just like that glass.
100%. It's perspective, right? Like, and I was talking to a gentleman yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was just like, he's like, I was dealing with this covert narcissist and, you know, and she just really broke me. And I was listening to his language and I'm like, no woman can break you. That's a choice. Right. And I said, look, dude, here's the deal. We've all had bad relationships and you talk about, like dealing with narcissists, it's totally difficult. That's a hard thing to do. You're attracting it though, so that you can deal with a weakness in you. And he's like, it's been 15 years in this relationship. And for the last 2 years, I'm still stuck. I was like, that's a choice. And I get it.
Yeah.
But part of his stuckness was he keeps waiting for her to come to the light and figure it out. And I get it. But like, dude, if she's going to fucking do that, she would do it. She's not there. And honestly, you're enabling her to stay there through the soul tie of expectation of hope. I think one of the things that people don't understand is that they sit down in these relationships and they go, I'm still hoping for you. And there's an invisible connection that they can't see that actually keeps pushing him away.
There's a big difference between attachment and connection, right?
Huge.
Connection is very, very key. Whether it's a romantic relationship, friends, family, business, anything. Like a lot of the things, as you guys will see also, we're talking about, are literally used for business, for relationships. It's all the same because it's the same principles and the same structure and the same philosophies, right? So there's a big difference between being attached to something that is unhealthy. That is something that you need to work on, right? And then there's a big difference between connecting. So I think once you start realizing these two things, it's like, whoa.
You can also unattach yourself and the spiritual cord is cut and it actually gives the person the freedom to work on what they need to work on.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I think that that's important. I was talking to a guy the other day, I was sharing this with you guys, and he's like, I'm going to get revenge on all of these people that screwed me over. And I was like, listen, dude, he's all, but I just can't seem to get ahead. And I'm like, because half your fucking energy is going towards that.
You have to heal
and you're wasting energy on how you're going to get revenge on people. And he's like, well, how do you get revenge on people?
By becoming the best version of myself.
100%.
Because they just lost who I was.
Yeah. And absolutely. I walked out of their life.
The biggest thing I'll tell you, as men, the biggest power that we have is being able to walk away. You can never force someone to respect you. You can command respect through your actions and who you are. And but the people who won't see that, you just leave. Absolutely.
You leave because there's a difference between, like, you can't force someone to respect you, but you can keep from being disrespected.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And if you keep chasing, what's going to happen to your respect?
Oh, dude, it just goes, look, I got a lot of experience in this in life. And I think one of the things that you start to realize real quick is the more you chase, you lose respect. Yeah. Because the person doesn't value you more. And you think in your head, you're like, but if I show them that I love them, they'll appreciate it. Yeah. Not if they're fucking ungrateful. They don't appreciate anything. And all you're doing is actually making them unappreciated more. If I give pigs pearls, they're going to fucking eat them. Yeah. They're not going to be like, God, it's so beautiful. I'm the most beautiful pig. I'm just going to wear that tonight at dinner. Right? Like they don't fucking have that intellect because they can't appreciate, they don't know your value. So what you do is you don't
surround yourself with pigs, basically.
Well, and you got to know your own value. If you sit down and you're so pissed off because things that can't appreciate don't appreciate, that's a you thing.
Yeah.
That's an external validation for an internal source of joy that you need to possess on your own. And when I started picking that up, I was like, oh shit, like I got to make some different decisions. And I think that this is the most powerful thing that you do in business, because a lot of business people don't understand this. They're like, I don't have clients coming to me. You don't even respect your own product.
Yeah.
You don't appreciate your own product. If you did, you'd price yourself differently.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, when you're talking about your own product and you're not convicted in the same thing that you're selling, you think someone's going to see that? Of course.
Dude,
they're going to be like,
they're gonna
okay, this
feel
guy's
it.
not even convicted in what he's selling. Like, why would I buy from this guy?
Right. And it's the same thing. If I sat down and I was like, I really love you. Like, they're not going to, like, they don't feel it because you don't feel it.
Yeah.
It's the passion that you bring. And people tell me this, and I started trying to modify it for certain relationships. And I was like, why am I doing this? They're like, you're intense. Fuck yeah, I'm intense, dude. Like, I don't bake for a living. And I've seen some bakers that are pretty intense also. So I give them mad respect. But like, I teach people.
Wasn't that guy a baker, actually? The guy you were just talking about?
The guy that I was talking about is a very intense character. And he's a really great person, but he's wasting all this energy on trying to have vengeance.
That's how we met him. We went to the bakery, and he was like, I have this. What was it? What was the?
It's a pastry.
It was a pastry, right? We started talking to him, and marketing lesson. He was like, I sell cupcakes, and I sell these pastries, and I sell all that. I was like, no, you don't. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, right here. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't sell any of that. You know what you do? You control the chemicals in the human brain. And he was like,
he looked at him like, what are you talking
about? Am I like crazy? You wanna elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's to elaborate on that. It's like when they walk into your store, what happens in their brain? What type of scents are coming in? Like, what are they seeing? What are the people? What's the energy that they're portraying?
And I don't care how good your cupcakes
they're smelling
are.
the coffee. They're smelling the cupcakes.
But no matter how good that is, if you're a piece of shit and you don't actually resonate your own frequency, they're never going to get past it. It starts with you, right? Like, you've got to have a good energy, and then you sell the chemical release.
Yeah.
And I think
you're still doing the chemical release if you have bad energy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, it's true.
You're still doing that, right? But to the point of like, I gave him a marketing lesson and a sales lesson that you don't sell pastries, my friend. Nobody cares. Do you think anyone like in their right mind cares about like, oh, flour and sugar? Like, who cares about that? And again, money's just content. Nobody cares. Like truly, we all don't, right? So now you have to think a little bit deeper. Like the smell that we smell, we're like, oh, the vibe. He was an American person here in Colombia. We're like, oh, okay, we associated with him. There was like chemicals that were released in our brain. So I told him, you don't sell anything but literally changing the chemicals in the human brain.
Yeah.
And he was like, whoa.
And what's so important about that is, in order for him to understand that, he's got to sell it to himself first.
Yeah.
Because you will not listen to anybody's voice outside of yours louder than you listen to yours. People can tell you, and we see this a lot with women, right? And I've had the privilege to coach a lot of women, and they're like, I don't feel attractive. And she's gorgeous. But if she doesn't believe it, she won't act that way. And the more she doesn't act,
feel it.
Yes. And the more she doesn't act that way, then she behaves in a way that makes her less attractive.
Yeah.
And then what does that do? It attracts low value people.
Yeah.
Which
and
reinforces the
it's
message.
This cycle.
Exactly. She's like, oh yeah, I'm probably not that attractive.
And then she realizes, why can't I attract good mates and good people?
And I see this with men also.
Oh yeah.
And then before you know it,
a lot
we're
of times,
slouching.
and here's the thing, right? Here's the difference. A confident person, a person who has like a good mindset, they will say, this is my fault. It's my responsibility. I need to work on some things. But most people, they don't think like that because we have a protection mechanism, right? And understanding your own psychology, you'll understand like, oh, okay, I'm trying to blame external circumstances. I'm trying to blame other people for my life. I can't do that. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to say that, because at the end of the day, it's like you don't want to feel bad. You always want to fit in as human beings.
Everyone wants to be right, or they want to be that person. They want to be the main character.
Yeah. I think but here's what's really important. The main character, everybody wants to be the main character, yet they're always wanting to be in other groups. And it's like, it makes no sense. We admire the people who walk by themselves, but we don't want to be like them because it's hard. It takes a lot of courage. It's very painful, and no one wants to do that. We want to be with a group and think like the group, and then expect the results like that one person who chose to walk by himself. Make it make sense.
Well, and here's why. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people want to be right. And the guy walking by himself doesn't care. He wants the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this over dinner the other night. We're like, it's not about like your faith versus mine. We're truth seekers. We want to know the answer. We want to know the truth. And I think that that is a part that a lot of people have lost. They just listen because they want to be led. And it's hard to be a leader if you want to be led. Now, it's fine if you want to be led.
And there's
Just
different
know that
phases
about
of
yourself.
life, right? There's different phases when you're like maybe in the beginning and starting off, you're like, I need to know, for example, how to make money, right? Like, okay, well, be part of people, be part of a program, a community, like learn how to do that, right? In your case, people want to learn how to defend themselves, how to fight. Well, probably they just don't feel like you can lead it without even knowing how to throw a punch. Be part of a community, be,
We were talking about this the other day with walking, right?
Yeah.
You were like, dude, since you've come out here, I started looking at guys, even guys that make more money than me, differently.
Yeah.
And there's a vibe to that, right? Because true currency is actually not money. There's a big part of it that's violence. And this is very politically incorrect to say today. Controlled violence under the appropriate time, right? Because if a guy's got a whole bunch of money and he's like, Zarar, I'm going to beat you. And you're like, actually, I could kill you and take all your money. Now, we're not encouraging anybody to do this, but it's a mindset, right? Like they feel something in you that they can't control. And I think
so you're capable, right? It's kind of like that saying where you want to be a warrior in a garden versus just being a, gardener in a war, right? Like you have to be capable of being able to use it when and if necessary in order to protect the loved ones that are around you, right? But then your morals and the character are the things that really hold you to that line to not misuse that.
You're a good person to good people. You're a dangerous person to bad people.
Yeah. And then you actually have to consider what your garden is going to look like if you were truly a warrior. And I think people forget that, right? Like when they say this saying and they're like, should be like a warrior in the garden. And, and it's like, dude, his garden's going to look different. Because he's not planting the same shit you are. Yeah. Right? Like he's going to plant different seeds. And some of those seeds are going to be like, if you think of what a warrior is going to want to eat, he's going to plant different types of fruits. The gardener, who's just like a food enthusiast, is going to be like, strawberries are awesome. Okay, they are awesome, but I can't live off that. And it's not going to give me enough energy to do what I need to do should a war arise. So think of that, like the planting part, I think is really important. And then also, I think it's more important, and I've been doing this a lot with my men lately in my coaching program where I'm telling them, like, don't be a warrior. They're like, why? I said, because warriors look for wars. And if there aren't any, you'll create one. The problem with that is that you're creating conflict. Be a Renaissance man. Be something that is fully capable of handling warfare, but also handling finance, handling every aspect of life.
Absolutely. It's all skill sets, right? And I think that's the most important thing is if you're watching this and you're like, I want to learn how to, let's talk about money. I want to learn how to make money, but you don't know anyone. You don't have any friends, cousins, anyone in your family who has done the things that you're looking for, right? And if you do, they may not even want to talk to you just because maybe they think they're too good or whatever the case is, right? So a lot of people, when they're first starting off, ourselves included, we felt all alone. Yeah. We felt like...
Ironically, your family is going to be your most unsupported group because they will often... And so like I tell people, there's a couple of things I tell people when they first sign up with me. I'm like, don't tell anybody you did it. Because they're immediately going to go, why would you do that? Why would you spend that money? Why would you do... And because they don't have the balls to do it, they're going to try and take it from you.
Absolutely. I think most people are like that. We've just been blessed by some amazing parents. Okay, one of the things you guys will see, a theme, but this is my brother Mo. I know we look nothing alike. We're pretty young. We're not that good. Like, we're not that great. It's our parents. Absolutely. They're the ones who taught us some of these things when we were very young, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And I remember my dad telling me, for example, he was like, I wanted a Nike sweatshirt. I still remember. And he was like, no, we're not going to get that. I was like, why? He was like, because it has a Nike sign. And I'm like, you don't like Nike, or like, what's going on? But he showed me, look, I don't want you to be this diehard fan of Nike. And I was like, I'm not. But he's like, I know, but I want to teach you a lesson here because I don't want you to be the slave of anything. You need
brands or anything.
And that lesson, I was like, oh my God. Because all my friends, none of them thought like this. None of their parents were like this. So a lot of our success is because of our parents. Both our mom and dad, they instilled these beliefs in us and these things, which, I mean, he's 20 years old, millionaire at 20, like, who,
dude, it's
self-made.
Being your own brand. And I just noticed this about all of us. None of us wear any name brand stuff. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, I like cool watches and I like stuff like that and cologne, right? Obviously, because I with like 100 bottles of
But
cologne.
we're not attached to it, right?
But
So
we're
like
not attached
we wear,
to it.
I mean, I'm
Exactly.
actually wearing an Armani shirt and an AP watch, so like maybe the brand is there right now, but I'm not attached to it. I swear, if I was like to wear a Walmart shirt,
This
no problem.
doesn't affect our confidence levels
Absolutely
or
not.
anything
because
like
the
that.
brand is you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And when you
Exactly.
start thinking that way, it's funny because as a kid, I never wore football or baseball or any type of shirts like that because I just, myself personally, it's not bad if you're into this, but I'm not into watching sports. That's not my thing. But I wanted to do it. And I
Yeah.
thought, man, if I wear your shirt, I'll wear it, but you got to pay me
exactly.
because
Let's
repping
talk a
your
little bit
brand.
about what you just said, right? The sports thing. In my opinion, again, I love sports. Like I've played football, rugby, I love sports. But if you think about it from a watching perspective, and again, I'm not against it, but it's food for thought. It's just to be aware of some of these things. In my opinion, I think sports is one of the biggest distractions you can have.
Yeah.
Right? Let's take a look. NFL, Sundays. Why do they do it on Sunday? Why not Saturday?
Because first of all, that's a day where you could go out and, do some work, but you're watching football on your couch. And on top of that, the next day is Monday. So you know what you're going to do on your lunch break with all your friends? You're going to talk about football. So you're not engaged into this. You can't even do anything out of your own time. You're just thinking about another person achieving their dream.
Hey, bro, did you see the game last night? Fourth quarter, and he fumbled. You're like, fuck, dude, make something out of yourself.
Exactly.
There's so much to that look, I know people are into that, and I'm sure some people are going to get pissed, but if it's offending you right now, you should be challenging that.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it offensive to you?
Yeah.
Because you know that it has power over you, and you also know that you're not living your full potential.
And what you're doing right now is what he just said, but you're trying to justify it right now in your brain. We know it. Don't do it. Accept it, right? 50% of like if you want to, for example, the people who quit alcohol, like if they're alcoholics, 50% of the battle is them admitting okay, I'm an alcoholic. And to my point before, I was talking about, we don't want to feel bad. We don't want to feel like we're doing something wrong because it's just protection mechanism. Understand these things,
Yet that's
please.
the motivation and fuel that's going to move you past
Exactly
it.
right.
I heard a hi-ya out there. Heck yeah. All right. So when we sit down and we think about learning how to actually get your mind comfortable with pain, that is what you need to get out of where you're at. It's uncomfortable. Pain is the only thing that moves some people.
Absolutely. And it's okay to sit down in pain and marinate in it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually very, very good.
Talk a little bit about that, because to us it makes complete sense, but to someone watching, they're like, marinate in pain. What
I don't want to be in pain. Pain's what I avoid.
Yeah, so exactly like what Michael was talking about before. I was walking and I was like, oh, my lip is bleeding. Well, Zarar, we should keep doing this. This is actually something that's very good for us. We're learning how to fight. We're going back to our roots, So any other person or most people, they'd be like, oh, I'm never gonna do this again. I'm never gonna let Michael punch me in the face, right? But I was literally back in there because I'm like, wow, this is something that I should really marinate in. I should be able to be
so it doesn't have power over you.
Exactly.
Iron sharpens iron.
So I'm not insecure when maybe some guy who's maybe bigger than me, he comes up to me and he's trying to steal my wallet. I'm not gonna be in a position where I'm like, wow, I'm scared.
Well, and the thing is that when you start to be calm, you can calm it down and you actually pull out your wallet and you throat check that fucker with it, right? Because you start realizing, oh, this is a weapon now, right? So you stay calm and you can handle yourself under that. And this is something that Mo and I think resonate, because the other night we went for a walk and Zarar was like, hey guys, just to be logical, because Zarar is very logical. He's like, maybe we shouldn't walk down there because we could have, and so Mo and I are like, we should walk down there because we could have issues, right? and there's a level of that warriorism that I think if you take it into life, it's good, but it's also good to remember to be the Renaissance, right? Yeah. If something makes you uncomfortable, like if you're about to sign up for a program, and it's at a price point that you're like, dude, I don't know if I can pull that off. That is exactly why you should do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't understand reverse intuition. The reverse intuition principle is literally where you start realizing that when you have to do something, you'll make it happen. Most people make just enough money to pay their bills.
That's it. It's that cycle.
But why? Because they know they have to.
Exactly.
So they figure it out. So if you had to absolutely positively make $100,000 a month, even when you don't have to, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I tell people this, I'm like, look, if you found out tomorrow, for you guys, maybe 100 million would be a real big challenge, right? But if I told you by tomorrow you got to create $100 million or your mother's going to die, God forbid.
I think we'd figure out a
Yeah.
way.
You'd
Like,
find a way.
absolutely.
You'd find a way, because when you absolutely positively must, you will.
Absolutely.
And
So
why
then
people
now,
don't grow is because they won't put themselves there. They're like, I'm going to wait
Exactly.
till I'm comfortable to do that. You're like, well,
and then
fuck.
and the
That's
biggest thing would be like if we start to achieve that, we're like, dude, what were we doing? We were just losers like yesterday.
Yeah.
Why were we not doing
That's
it
why they're
before?
not doing it though. They won't. They say, I'm going to wait till I'm comfortable and I know I can do it to get it.
Absolutely.
You'll never get it then.
And I have another perspective to this. If you guys have ever heard, there's two ladies, right? There was a story before, but there was two ladies. One of the ladies owned 50 pairs of shoes, right? The other one owned 0, right? And then there was a test basically if like they asked people like, hey, who would buy another pair of shoes? The first lady would, because she had 50 other pairs, right? Same thing in this position. If you pay more for something, you're like, oh shoot, I'm putting everything that I have here. I'm gonna get my
invest.
value
Yeah.
out of this
I
rather than
have to pull this off.
I have to get it done.
But it sounds like a sales tactic, so people don't understand it. And so they sit down and they go, oh, you're just saying that because you want people to buy your expensive program. I'm not going to lie, dude. I like having money. It's cool. But that's not the point. The real point is the fact that like, so when we did the underground fights, we had one rule for people who wanted to train with us. We get all these people and they go, I want to train with you because you do the underground fights. I was like, cool. The only way we'll allow you to train is if you're willing to fight. And they're like, well, I don't want to. I could get hurt. Then we won't let you train with us. There is a level of intensity that comes with knowing that you could get hurt that makes you train a specific way. And if you're not willing to do that, why are you doing it? Because you want to be cool? Because you want to hang out with us and tell
You're doing it for
people
the
that
wrong
you're a
reasons.
badass?
Yeah.
You're doing it for the wrong reasons.
It's for insecurities, man. Like, you know,
And I'm not here to feed your insecurities. That line, that's over there at,
Yeah.
at the welfare line. And I'm not trying to be a dick to people on welfare, because when I was a kid, my mom had to be on welfare for 6 months. She got off it, but it was a step up to get there. It wasn't generational. She didn't stay on it. It wasn't her intentionality. You don't want that. What you want is to be in a position that you are pushing yourself past limitation by knowing that if you don't do everything it takes, you'll fail and die.
yeah.
That is a mindset. And when people go, well, I don't want to have that mindset, then work for someone else.
Yeah.
And I won't hire you because I want people on my team.
McDonald's needs French fry makers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, truly, there isn't. But if you,
If
again, if you're watching this right now, you have a very big problem, which we all have. We all have this disease, and that disease is this entrepreneurial bug that just keeps biting us, right? No matter, even if you have a 9 to 5, but you want to become free. You want to feel like you don't have these golden shackles on your wrist. Like, you want to be that highest version of yourself. So if you're watching this, this is for you. But if you're someone who wants to continuously work for someone else, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and we're not, and I want to make it clear, because I don't want anybody to think that we're not shitting on the guy working
Absolutely
at
not.
McDonald's
Yeah.
Someone's got to do
serving
it.
the fries. And that is, if that is your lot in life, you do it as though you're doing it for God. We talked about
Yeah.
this the other day, and I think that's fine.
I
But
think
at
you
the same
should still
time,
take some of the principles from here and be like, I'm going to make the best French
best
fries
fries.
possible.
100%. Because here's what's going to happen. You're no longer going to be making French fries with that attitude. You're going to be
you're
running
gonna-
to McDonald's.
Exactly right.
And that is the principle that I want to bring to the table. Everybody's got to start somewhere, but you do it like your life depends on it. And until you're
Absolutely.
willing to make that commitment, and you can't wait till you get the confidence, you can't wait till you get the money, you can't wait till you get whatever the fuck it is you think you need to
Yeah.
get. If you were going to get it, you would have had it by now.
Yeah.
Exactly. That attitude is so key, because, like, okay, so yesterday we were here in Colombia, right? We were giving back to some very unfortunate people. There was about 60 Venezuelan immigrants
Yeah.
that we fed yesterday. We bought pizzas and all this, and we told the charity worker there, the charity owner, and we were like, you know what? Not only did we get these pizzas and like help out with that, we also want to do physical labor. We also want to help these people, right? So he was like, all right, wash the dishes. And we looked at each other. We were like, man, we haven't washed dishes in years, but absolutely we're going to do it. No excuses. While we're washing the dishes, the way we're doing it, we're like so tactical, and like we're making sure every single droplet is off. And we started realizing, like, I think we are in life where we are because of this attitude. We will
Absolutely.
wash the dishes, even though we haven't done this in years, but we're going to do it so good that no one can
Yeah.
ever compete with us. And that's the mindset that we're challenging you to have. So if
And
you're
you'll be
watching this
blessed when
right
you do
now,
that, too.
absolutely. If you're watching this right now, you feel a little uncomfortable. You feel a little challenged, right? You feel like we're kind of stretching the beliefs of what you have, and you're maybe even trying to justify some of these things. All we're trying to offer you here is a different perspective on the life that maybe you could have. That's all. That's our only intention.
And you got to control the controllables, right? There are things, and I believe this is a very important thing to think of. There are people that work far harder than I do,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but God has blessed the fruits of my labor. So you need to have blessing. I believe that that is 100% something that you need to have. Without it, you can't move forward, no matter how hard you work. But I will also tell you within that, you have to be willing to go out and work. We were talking, and the individual's name isn't important right now, but we were talking about a young man who we all know, and he's extremely lazy. And he's like, I think God's removed his favor from me. I'm like, you think? You're lazy, dude.
Yeah.
God's not going to reward that. When you sit down and you keep trying to figure out a way, and you spend more effort to get out of doing work than what it would take to just do the job, God's not going to bless you.
Yeah.
There's a reason I was homeless, and it wasn't God's fault. It was mine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was where my head was.
Even if it wasn't directly your fault, we have a belief that even if it wasn't, it's still my fault. Because why would I give my power away to someone else?
Someone else. Exactly.
Even if
if
it's
they
not your
stood-
fault, it's still your consequence.
Absolutely.
So if you will own it as your fault,
Yes.
you have power over it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And another step to this is whatever happens to you, even if it's bad, you're like, oh wow, there's a learning lesson. This is amazing. This is like, you flip it. Everything you flip. The rule number 3, I'm not sure if you guys know about Trump's movie, but rule number 3 in Trump's movie was like, never admit defeat and always flip it. So it's like, if something bad happened to me, I'm like, okay, I learned something from this. Wow, amazing.
But
So
turn it
it's-
into something good.
It's never like you're miserable, because misery loves company, and you'll find all those people that are just super miserable rather than that one person that took the different route and now he's successful.
And
and we're like we're going to like feeding the homeless. We're feeding people who are like very like, I mean, I don't even know how much money they're making here, maybe like $100 a month, and some of these people are way happier than the people in the US.
They
100%.
literally collect rubble and scraps off the floor for like 15-16 cents just to get like a room to sleep in with 25 other people. So imagine that level of intensity, and they're way happier.
And
than
like
a
in
lot
the
of these
US,
people.
it's like we go to Starbucks and you have like someone flipping out on the barista. Oh, I want an extra double mochaccino, whatever. It's like, well, man, like there's people, doing scrap work and they're way happier than you.
Yeah.
And so we realize like we need to get our stuff together. Even like we can never be unhappy ever again. So we chose to, like, every single Monday, we're going to go out ourselves and we're going to meet these people and we're going to give back to them because we're trying to learn from them.
I think that there's an important takeaway here for the viewers also, to understand that you may be around the miserable people right now and you want to grow and they want you to feel bad for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Yeah.
tell you how bad you are for wanting to be more successful. And I'll, God bless your parents. That's awesome. I didn't have that same support, and it's okay. Right?
Mhm.
Like, it's exactly what I needed to be who I am today.
Exactly. You see how he just took that as a win? That there's a huge thing right there. Like, and we just caught him subconsciously doing this, but like, he just took something that it was our win, but it was completely opposite for like what happened to him, but he made it into his win as well.
Absolutely. I think that's a great example. Complete opposite. It was a win for him. It was a win
We
for
both
us.
won.
And it's a win for you guys to step outside of your comfort zone and understand that these people are going to say stuff to you like, all you care about is money.
Mm.
The only people that talk about money more than the rich are the poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
it's
they
so
sit
true.
down and they try to make you bad for that, here's why. And it took me a long time to figure this out. They don't want to put out the effort. And you putting out the effort and demonstrating that it's possible is light shown on them for what they're not willing to do. And they want to hold you in a position that they can control you in and keep you held down so that they can always go two things. One, look, nobody can do it because I can't do it, which is bullshit, because they can do it. They're just fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Or they don't understand that they can do it. Ignorance is the other part. And that part, like, if you're unwilling to do it, I don't feel bad for you. If you're ignorant of it, let's teach you. And then the third part is control. People, when you grow, when you get better, they lose control over you.
Absolutely.
And when you learn that they don't have that power over you, you actually get to go serve the mission that God sent you to this earth to do. There's a lot of people that don't like me. I like me. That's what I care about. Like, if I go to
It's
bed at
actually
night,
controlled narcissism. And I know this is going to
100%.
sound such a weird and foreign concept. What I mean by controlled narcissism is very similar to controlled violence, right? You use it for good. So, like, for example, I remember when we were in the third world country, oh my God, the conversations that these people would have, Michael, they're talking about the price of cilantro. They're talking about, so the chicken is like the stock market there. So like, I swear, I'm not joking. You guys can like, in Pakistan, every morning the chicken has a different price. So it's like, oh, did you see the chicken price? So it's like, okay, over here, we're trying to make 100K a day. Actually, what's crazy is we did like 130K today. Wow. So like literally, man, this is crazy. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. We did like 130K today, and I remember the conversations that we would have is like, these people are over here talking about chickens, and they make $100 a month for that.
Yeah,
But this is why.
I remember, this is kind of funny, but I was with my grandpa, and he's from the village, right? And he's pretty successful in Pakistan. So like what he used to do, literally I went in the car with him one day and he was like, we're going to go grocery shopping today. This is at like 9 a.m. We got back at like 7 p.m. that day. But basically what we did was every single thing that we wanted, like if it was chicken, meat, cilantro, it was spinach, or it was tomatoes, we would stop at a different location because it was cheaper there. So like we were literally doing pit stops all around the city just to get groceries. It was crazy. I was like, why don't we just go to a actual place like
why don't we get it delivered?
Yeah.
The irony is he probably spent more money in gas than what he saved.
Exactly.
And this is why I refuse to clip coupons. When people are like, but we could save 30 cents. I really don't give a shit.
Why don't we focus on making 30 cents extra versus
Fuck that. Let's focus on making 30 grand, right? Like I don't want to do the whole like clipping the like, oh, we saved this. We spent an hour and a half clipping coupons. Do you know how much money I can make in an hour and a half? And that's why I think it's important, especially for the younger generation, to learn these concepts of how to make money. But I also think it's important for the younger generation, because we were talking about this young man, stop being lazy. Don't just think you're going to be a millionaire. Dude, it takes fucking work. And it's going to be hard, and people are going to say some horrible shit to you. I remember when I was homeless, I finally got a job doing like mortgages. And dude, I was so depressed at the time because I knew I was meant for more and I could do more. And I remember I was dialing, and the guy that ran the place was kind of a scam artist. But it was helpful. Again, it was one of those things. It was a great blessing in my life.
See the little words that he's using. Helpful.
Because he would take lists and go, here's the new call list. And he'd give it to Bill. But he gave me Bill's call list from yesterday and acted like he's giving us new list every day. So, of course, the people were calling are pissed off. And I'm like, hi, my name's Michael, and I'm calling. Have you looked at the interest rate on your home or some shit, right? And the guy's like, hey, what's your name? And I said, and I knew it was coming, right? And I'm like, I'm Michael. He's all, Michael, I own my house outright. I don't need your fucking loan. He's all, you know what you should do today? You should go fucking kill yourself. And I was like, I've been thinking about it. Thank you.
Thank you for the reassurance.
It was one of those things, like there's two messages there. Try not to be a dick to people calling you, right? And I know that can be hard, and I struggle with it myself because you're busy and you just get caught in the moment. But, like there's something about like just learning how to move past the no's and get comfortable with the struggle that a lot of young kids aren't learning now. Yeah. They're like, I want to be a millionaire because I watched The Secret and they said if I think really positive things, good things will happen. Dude, that's how you lose your shit. Yeah. You have, like, it's important to have positive manifestations in your mind and visualize that and act from that place. And yes, it will have a level of attractiveness and attraction to you. You still got to work. And so when you sit down and go, I don't know why God's pulled his favor. I just sit here all day and do nothing. That's why God's pulled his favor. He doesn't reward laziness. It's scriptural. I don't know in you guys' Bible, but in our Bible, you're not supposed to be lazy. Yeah, and it talks about that repeatedly. Yeah, so when people go, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and manifest and hope for good things, you're going to lose all your shit. Yeah. Like, stop being lazy. Go out and do the work, even if it's a done for you service. That doesn't mean that when they hand it back to you that you don't have to still work at it. And I know I've seen this with a lot of other services where people go, well, they gave it to me and I was doing good for a while, but now I hate them and they're bad because, it's not working. You're like, well, dude, he fucking gave it to you working. You broke it. And you broke it because you didn't do what it takes to keep it moving. Done for you doesn't mean done forever. Yeah. And life has a lot of elements like that. And I think it's really important to consider that, because when you come into any industry, regardless of the industry, it is so important to be having a work ethic with intelligence. Hard work doesn't yield money. And I want to make that, like, I know a lot of people that work harder than me. Intelligent work yields money.
Leverage.
But don't be afraid to work hard to get the leverage. Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about the leverage and the team that you've built out at 20 years old?
Yeah, I think it's pretty powerful what we've been able to do at LMA. But one of the biggest things is that you're taking, like, what I did was I took kids, literally 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, transform them to think differently from what's happened to them in their generations. To give you an example, what I did was, one of the first exercises I did was like, hey, I was like, do you really want to be better? And they were like, yeah. Better than what? Than your dad, your grandpa, your great grandpa, right? And I'm not saying anything against them. I'm just saying that, like, you know, if you keep going down that route of going to university, and I'm not saying anything bad about university, these kids wanted to be entrepreneurs, right? They were like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. So I asked them, like, dude, do you want to go to university? No. Well, your dad did. Your mom did, right? All these other people in your life did. Is that the life that you want to live? No. So like, even an exercise that you guys could do is like, look back in your like family tree and see if that's the person that you want to be. And nothing against them. It's just people want different things in life, right? So that's the first thing that I did. And I was like, okay, can I hold you to this new person that you want to be? And they're like, yes, I can. Exactly like what I told you guys before, is like, think about yourself 30 years ahead, right? If you can do that, then you have to start doing those actions. So I held them very accountable. And again, not all of them succeeded. Some of them I had to like, oh, maybe the paths were like aligned with me. Maybe they had a different way of getting to their goals. But the people who stayed with me, they're crushing, because I'm holding them accountable to what they want to do in life and who they want to be. And it's just like guiding them in the right direction.
They're like, if we talk about monetary wise, these kids are like 18, 19. Do we have any 20-year-olds, or is it just 18, 19?
We have one 22-year-old.
Okay, 22-year-old. That's our oldest. They're literally making more than neurosurgeons, doctors, lawyers.
Because the highest paid people in the world are salespeople and entertainers, right? Like, if you could be entertaining while you're selling, you'll kill it. There's nothing wrong with going to college. I went to college, I got a degree. 90% of the people that I know that went to college, it was a great experience from a standpoint of being educated and learning. Don't go to college to make money unless you're going to be like a neurosurgeon or something like that. And that's your whole path. But if you go to college to make money, it's stupid, because 90% of the people that I know that went to college to make money are disappointed with that.
Or they're in a different field altogether, right? If you're trying to become like
70% of people that graduate, they're not in the same field that they got their degree in. That's crazy.
And that's a lie that the marketers have sold us on, right? And it's like, here's the thing. If you don't have a degree, you're like...
Go to college to get an education. If you go to college because you want to learn how to do film or something like that, cool. Yeah. If you want to learn how to do sales, don't go to college. Yeah. Like, you go do sales to learn sales.
Here's one. Like, learn Arabic or Spanish. Just like, why would I do that when I can just go to like Spain, or like go to like Egypt or something?
I mean, it's literally indoctrinate yourself and immerse yourself in the culture. Like, my Spanish has gotten so much better being in Costa Rica and being out here in Colombia, where apparently very few people speak English. And so you got to learn some of the, like, at least in Costa Rica, they're like, speak English to me.
And that's also a good thing, right?
But it's a good thing. It's
we're
helping
learning
me.
Skill sets. And most people who are like, most people in America, they'd be like, can't speak, can't understand. They have a bad day. And like, we don't have bad days. I don't believe in it. I don't know what you guys think. I don't have a bad day. Don't care what happens.
Never.
Don't care. I mean, maybe if my mom or dad were to pass away, I understand. Besides that, every day is a great day. That's just my mindset.
It's how you frame it. And you really got to just learn how to like discipline your mind to have an addiction. And again, it's an addiction. Yeah. Right? Like I don't know how many calls I did yesterday. I think 10 or 12. And you have these days. I'm sure you guys have them too. And everybody I got on the phone with yesterday was like broke. And I was like, all right, whatever. But it's like, it wasn't, they're not bad for it, but it was the process for me. And I started going through every single call, talking to people just because I wanted to actually help them. That was my mission yesterday, was to help as many people as I could. And so I removed the money aspect and started just focusing on helping people. And it's funny how many people will actually thank you at the end and go like, dude, thank you for not giving up on me. I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to go figure this out. And that aspect, I think, is success, right? Success 100%. For me, and I think everybody defines success a little differently, but my success is to change the world and turn it into a different place. Yeah. And I'm crazy enough to think that I can pull it off. And I know you guys share that intensity where you're like, dude, we can make the world a better place. It's cool to make money. It's cool to tell people I made 130 grand in a day, right?
Money's a consequence though, right? So like, let's talk a little bit about
what's energetics.
Money. It's like, if you, this is something that we struggled with for a long time, because we're like, oh, money, money, money. The more we chase, the more it ran away from us. And then there's for example, today we did 130K and we didn't even talk about money. It's all value. How can I give the most amount of value to the person in front of me? Whether it's, and this is a mindset that I challenge you guys all to have, whether it's about money, whether it's about any relationship, you just give everything that you can of value And
your people can feel it.
absolutely.
Like when you're on the phone and you have like this commission sales breath,
People feel it,
people
man.
feel
Like,
it. But when you talk about, dude, I want to help you. I actually got on a phone call with a guy today that used to be a major news broadcaster. And he got involved in some stuff. Ironically, he didn't believe in God. And then he got involved in some stuff and found out that like his girlfriend was satanic and there were some other things that were going on. And then started getting outcasted out of the news group because he wouldn't conform to certain things. And it was just like this amazing just dichotomy of like, there's a battle of good and evil.
Yeah.
And I was telling him like, dude, whether or not you believe, clearly you're in the war. You got to make a choice.
There's an equal and opposite reaction to that.
always.
So it's like, if there's evil,
There's got to be good.
yeah.
There's got to be good. Yeah, exactly. So, guys, we can talk for hours and hours and hours. We have conversations like this every day. And actually, like this podcast, like this is just like a regular conversation.
This
we
was
have.
us last night sitting
This is
outside with cigars.
exactly right. Yeah, it's like it's just a regular day, in our life. So we'll go ahead and kind of like wrap things up. So maybe what we can do here is kind of like final thoughts from both of you guys. Maybe Mo, if you want to give some final thoughts on whatever you want the viewers to kind of like hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that especially if you're someone that's going through a rough patch in life, the biggest thing that you can do, like next steps from here, is just understand what you're going through right now. Sit on it. Just like it's a new perspective, right? Sit in it. Just be like, okay, I'm going through something right now. Or maybe you're an alcoholic, or maybe you're battling with drugs. Just be like, okay, I have this issue. Now I'm going to sit in this, understand this, and not be like, oh, I'm not a druggie. I'm not addicted. Right? I hear this all the time. I'm not addicted. No, I am addicted. Now I have to figure this out, right? There's a big difference in that. I think that's your number one thing that you can do. Just understand, even if you're right now, you're trying to change your life. You're like, oh, wow, okay, I need to change my life now. I have to do something about my like current situation, But that's my number one thing. My final thoughts is just like, understand that you need change. And then after that, you can go and
It takes change to change.
Yeah.
Always remember that. Michael?
What would you do without fear? If you knew it was impossible to fail, what would you attempt? Write down what that looks like. What beliefs would that person have to have? What behaviors would they be engaged in daily? And assume that behavior, those beliefs, that emulation, and put it on like a second layer of clothes and start acting from that place. And if you do that and condition that daily, you will become that.
absolutely.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Mic drop moment. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up and let's go enjoy some steaks.
Awesome. All right.